Hi, I'm Jennifer Simmons with AIM, here for our 10th and final weekly video summary of the 2022 legislative session. Joining today are Matt Greller, AIM CEO, Jenna Nepper, our Government Affairs Director, and Campbell Ritchie, Policy Director for AIM. So, wow, first, what a short sessions are normally characterized as the sort of less impactful because they are non-budget writing sessions for the state. This year was certainly not the case. We've talked about this many times on this video and in our legislative summary. It was somewhat of a frantic pace at the State House, and there were some major policy and tax related decisions made, which is unusual for a short session. So Matt, let's jump right into it. First up is the business personal property tax. I won't step on the headlines. So what happened with the state's effort to eliminate the 30% depreciation floor?
Well, thanks, Jennifer. It was the last bill considered, for the most part, last big bill considered on both chambers, and it turned out very well for us. So depending on when you're watching this video, it's happened early this morning, in the early morning hours of Wednesday, March 9th. The bill was passed. It's headed to the governor, and it contains no significant business personal property reduction language. So I want to compliment the team, our membership, everybody for the work they've put in. I think the replace, don't erase strategy worked well again, kept it out. There was a clear recognition by the Senate that this could not be done without harming local governments, and they weren't ready to put a full replacement revenue piece in place. So the entire package, for the most part, came out. There were lots of other things in 1002 as well, but that's clearly what most of our session focused around until a few other bills popped up towards the latter stages. But very happy, very excited to report that it's out. And Campbell, I know you were watching it closely too. What else was in that bill? House Bill 1002, business personal property tax related, but also just income tax related and other things.
Yeah, so thanks, Matt. The big items that stayed in the bill were the income tax reduction and the utility receipts tax elimination. So first, I want to talk about the income tax. They're phasing down the income tax, which is currently 3.23%, down to 2.9% over time, but that is all conditional. They have to meet revenue growth requirements each year prior to the tax being adjusted down. And if by the end of this decade, the pre-1996 teacher retirement plan isn't fully funded, then they can't reduce the income tax anymore until they get that done. So it is being phased down over a 7-year period, but it's a to be determined exactly how fast that happens. It can stall at any point if there's not good revenue growth or due to pension obligations. The other big tax change was phasing out the utility receipts tax. And this is the tax that everyone pays on their utility bills, and that includes for municipal utilities. The one potential thing that we're going to have to talk more about with our membership on that is that there was a requirement that all the utilities adjust down their rates to account for the change in the tax. And the exact mechanics of that, we're going to have to talk more to all of you about specifically how to set that up and how to fill those requirements. So there'll be more on that. Obviously, the headline that Matt gave you is there was the 30% depreciation floor on the business personal property tax was not eliminated. There was one very small piece on business personal property tax in 1002, and that's that the quote unquote mini mills, these are the steel mills that are not the US Steel ones up in Lake County that are scattered around the state, are able to opt into the fifth pool for business personal property tax that does not have a depreciation floor, and they're only allowed to do that if it wouldn't impair bonds. So if they're in TIFs, there's going to have to be financial analysis done by the DLGF to see if they're allowed to do that. So we're still assessing the fiscal impact of that because it wasn't in any of the committees and it was added at the last minute. There's no fiscal note on it yet. So we're going to have more to say on that at a later date when we have more information. But that's the only business personal property tax piece that survived to the end.
Great. Thanks, Campbell. Thanks, Matt. I just echo what's been said about the membership assisting in this effort. Matt mentioned the Replace Don't Erase Coalition. And at the end of the day, we ended up with nearly 45 resolutions passed by cities, towns, and a couple of counties. Those are actually still coming in, so we'll be able to put those up on the website as a reminder for how effective we can be as AIM when our membership rallies behind us, in addition to all the hard work we've talked about for months. So certainly want to add my thanks to the list there. Let's move on to another really big, really important issue, Senate Bill 361, which we've called at times the Super TIF bill. It's an issue that took us somewhat by surprise at the beginning of the legislative session, but was a goal that we could certainly get behind, making Indiana more flexible and able to respond to these mega projects. Matt, do you want to tee that up?
Yeah, I think you did a great job of sort of summarizing how it gained momentum sort of at the halfway point of the legislative session, really, and then for sure in the second half. Spent a lot of hours trying to make this bill better and improve it over the last few weeks. Special thanks, I think, goes out to Ice Miller, our corporate member that's a strategic partner. Did a lot of pro bono work and really helped us get it in a better spot. And we're pretty happy with where it ended up. I think I would be wrong to say that it doesn't have any problems, because it certainly will and does, that we'll be able to work through in coming legislative sessions. And we won't know the full scope of how this is going to play out until we actually have one of these deals go through. So as you mentioned, Jennifer, this is the state's entrance into the TIF world, if you will, a mega TIF world, really going after those big projects, whether it's the next electric vehicle manufacturer or the next chip manufacturer, whatever it might be, the things that you read about going to other states. I think now we have a tool potentially to help go after some of those kinds of things. So we're excited from that standpoint, cautiously optimistic that it will work as intended. And if it doesn't, we'll be right back next legislative session to make it better. And again, it's a common theme, but we've got to give some special thanks to leadership in both houses and in the governor's office for working with us pretty tirelessly to make this bill better. We really had a good seat at the table, and we're able to provide a number of comments and changes to make this a workable and better bill. Jenna, I think you're probably best positioned to go through how it ended up and then where we are today.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I think it's important when we talk about Senate Bill 361 to kind of break it down into two parts as it relates to the Innovation Development District. So for projects over $2 billion, the IEDC, according to the bill, must collaborate and work with the local units of government. But for those deals under $2 billion, it lays out a process by which local units can opt in and negotiate some of the agreements, which is a really big give to us. And we appreciate both Speaker Houston, Senator Mishler, and others working with us to update those provisions. So for those deals under $2 billion, during the kind of NDA portion of the project, when the IEDC is getting wind of a major deal coming to the state, they're required to notify the executive or executives of the new Innovation Development District area or potential area. Within that process of negotiating this agreement, they'll identify the impacted parcels. So you'll get a better sense of which counties will be impacted, which cities or towns would be part of this proposed district. You'll negotiate how the net increment is going to be used, talk about how that's going to be spent, and go through some of the financial commitments. And a late change to the bill that we really appreciate, particularly the Senate working with us on, is if no agreement is made between the executives and the IADC, then the IADC cannot designate an innovation development district in that area. We do think this is going to be a really innovative tool, and we're hopeful that our locals can come to the table and work with the IADC on these big projects. They also make it clear that that 12% increment that we've talked about in previous videos is a minimum. So during the agreement and the local process, if you identify we're going to need extra revenue for public safety or roads or utility infrastructure, you can negotiate that amount, which was a big give and took a lot of back and forth between us and members of the General Assembly. They also make it clear that local zoning laws apply, again, a nod to local units of government. And so again, just to echo what Matt has already said, we really do appreciate having that seat at the table. And Speaker Houston and Senator Mishler have committed that, if this bill isn't in perfect form, they'll be back with us in the IADC, both having a seat at the table. But all in all, especially for those deals, $2 billion and under, a big improvement from how this was originally introduced with the IADC unilaterally being able to designate these areas. So again, appreciate our members reaching out to legislators on this and a willingness to work with the House and Senate on it.
Thanks, Jenna. So also to you, Jenna, House Bill 1106, eminent domain. This is one of those bills that had some ups and downs, a bill that we certainly tried to improve in cooperation with the bill's author, but just couldn't get there. Maybe recap the bill a little bit and let everyone know what happened yesterday.
Yeah, so House Bill 1106 is the bill that would have required county commissioners to approve the use of eminent domain outside a municipality's corporate boundaries. So if the municipality needed to use it specifically for road projects, they'd have to get the county commissioners sign off. Not only that, the county commissioners' findings could have been challenged in court. As we left it last week during legislative summary, it had passed out of the Senate 26-24 with a provision in there that dealt with the fair market value. So we got to work this earlier this week and late last week with our members to reach out to members of the House. And the House made it crystal clear that they were opposed to that 120% provision. So Representative Goodrich dissented on the Senate passed version of the bill. That language was removed. And so we went back to the Senate this week. And we're finally really able to focus in on our concerns with that county commissioner piece. A lot of that conversation during the first half was about that 120%. So the bill failed to move. It was defeated with only 19 yes votes when voted on yesterday, which is really great news. So that eminent domain language did not move this session. And it's really a testament to our members reaching out to not only their House members, but the Senate, where it ultimately died yesterday. So again, already alluded to with the member engagement, that was critical on this bill and making sure that didn't move forward this session. And then I know eminent domain is a topic likely to come back up in future sessions, but for now we're in a good place with the bills that did not move forward.
Thanks, Jenna. Before we wrap up, I want to do something that we did last year, although last year I gave the team a little time to think about this and noodle on it, but this year coming in cold so we can get their real feels. Everybody has to describe in one word how you would sum up this legislative session, and in true State House style, we'll give you a minute to explain your vote. Matt, you want to kick us off? Got to take unmute.
I was using that to give myself a little more
Stall.
time. Mission accomplished. I'm taking executive privilege and using two words. It was, I think the deck was stacked against us at the beginning. Our members did a tremendous job, as Jenna alluded to. This session may be as good as at any point in my time in AIM of engaging legislators regularly, thoughtfully. And it was, I can't tell you how big of a difference that made. The team was excellent, to say the least. Jenna has been, I guess you're a State House veteran now, but this was your first year leading the team and did a great job. Campbell, He sort of goes back and forth from behind the scenes and crunching numbers and reading policy and interpreting it for all of us, and then testifying and being out in front sometimes too, and continues to do a great job for us. And he's not on here, but Chris Bandy's new to the team, did a great job as well. And Becca McQuaig, our new legal counsel, also was a great participant. And Jennifer, you running the show on the Replace Don't Erase campaign, I think was invaluable to have your communication and messaging experience and expertise. So that's mine. 2 words this year, Jennifer: mission accomplished, and due almost in totality to the efforts of the team here and our members.
We'll give you a pass on 2 words. Campbell, you wanna jump in? What's your word?
Well, my word is gonna be collaborative. Obviously, from the outside, if you look at the session, you're going to see a lot of controversial bills, and there was a lot of consternation about that. But that wasn't the case on our end. For the bills that we worked on, I really can't emphasize enough how wonderful it was to work with both the Senate and the House leadership, who worked with us on all of these issues really collaboratively. They were open to conversations ongoing through the entire session, involved us in a lot of conversations to an extent that I've not seen a lot in my years at AIM. We were really involved in a very positive and collaborative way with leadership on both sides. And I felt like that was part of the key to why we had such a successful session this year.
I couldn't agree more. I don't know that I've ever seen anything like it. So much give and take, so much integration of our thoughts and concerns into various key pieces of legislation. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Jenna?
Well, Campbell stole my word, but I'll echo it and say it was fast paced, but because of the collaboration, I think we were able to be really effective, and really it hinged on our members. I think a lot of that collaboration started with our members calling legislators to talk about these important issues. So we're so focused on the teamwork. Campbell and I have the same word.
Yep, see, Matt wasn't lying. This team is really, really humming on all cylinders this session. And I'll throw one word in there that I think we've all touched on, and I even touched on before, but engagement. Our member engagement was at a level I haven't seen before either. I think in 2014, when we faced the business personal property tax elimination, we may have had more resolutions. I think that's probably true because we had more from other local government units. But the engagement of cities and towns of all sizes, the consistent engagement, so not just that one touch, but those multiple touches with lawmakers, was at a level I just hadn't seen. And I think that is a testament to the grassroots engagement. That investment we've made in grassroots and relationship building is really one of the things that propelled our success this year. With lawmakers, with our members, it's just really starting to see the fruits of those labors just come to a head this year, and it was great to see. All right, so we'll wrap it up there. Just a reminder that we do have our legislative recap webinar coming up on March 30th. We will have the State House report coming out in a month or so. That is a very comprehensive recap of all the bills that impact municipal government. Thank you once again. Thanks to the team, and we look forward to being back with you again next session.